Good morning, good evening, or good night, whichever one it is for you. Whichever one it is, I'm very glad you're here to join me for this week's video because I have to confess, I did buy some more books. It's kind of a problem. It's not like I have an insane amount of books I haven't yet read. I have been reading like a crazy person, and therefore I needed some more books, so it's a rational choice. It's not impulsive at all. And excuses aside, I decided these are some of my favorite videos to watch to see what people buy and what people are going to be reading next. And so why not share those books with you? Because there's some in here that I am so excited about. Without further ado, let's just get right into it, because the first one I'm actually already in the middle of. You can see I've read quite a bit of it, even though it is huge. This is Ulysses by James Joyce, which I don't think I have to tell anyone about because this is such a popular book. I really wanted to get into James Joyce because recently I've heard so many people say so many good things about particularly A Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man or something like that. It's another book of James Joyce's that I'm really interested in. And hearing so many people rave about that when I started researching him a bit. And to me, I always like to start off with the book I feel the most drawn to, of course. I think everyone does. But I found this one much more interesting than the other ones he has written. And so even though I was very intimidated by the length of it, I did decide to start with this one because it's quite difficult to see, but there's text on the cover, if you can see. And just from reading that text, I could not leave this in the store. I had to pick it up because it's such a cool premise. This is basically just 900 pages telling you about one day in Dublin on the 16th of June 1904. I had no idea what that meant, but that seemed quite fascinating because how do you write 900 pages about one single day? And it is said to be one of the greatest books that have ever been written. I had to pick it up. Also, I know that Ulysses is kind of loosely inspired by Odysseus, the story, the very popular ancient epic poem by Homer, and that one I've read and I love that one, so had to pick it up. I won't get into my feelings too much because I will be talking about this in my wrap-up for June. My God, it's already June. How can that be? How can it already be June? But yeah, so that one will be talked about extensively later on. Just know it's awesome. Then I picked up Inmemorian by Alice Wynne. It's a novel about a love story set during World War I. And I have to admit, I judged this book by its cover. It's one of the most stunning covers I've ever seen. I wish you could feel it. The texture is so interesting. And so, yeah, I do have to confess that is pretty much the one main reason why I bought this one. But it is also quite fascinating. It's a contemporary story, or of course, it's a historical setting, but it's a writer that's currently alive, and I don't read many contemporary stories, and that is something I'm trying to change because there have to be so many good ones out there, and it's kind of unfair to only read classics. There's so much I'm bound to miss doing that, and so I've been trying to change that, and this is one of my attempts doing so. I rarely read love stories just because they're love stories. Of course, a lot of classics are love stories, but I don't usually read contemporary love stories. And so this is quite interesting. It's about two men who fall in love, or two young teenagers who enlist in the army during the First World War. And it's an epic love story amid the brutalities of war. That's what it says on the cover. I don't know much more. I decided to pick it up. We'll see when I actually get to reading it, but I am very excited about that one just because it's so much different from anything I usually read. Next up, I decided to buy Bleak House by Charles Dickens. This is going to be my fourth Charles Dickens, and I absolutely love his writing. I kept debating which one of his I wanted to pick up next, and then I stumbled across Bleak House, and that just drew me so much. It's one of the bigger ones of his I will have read then. It's supposed to be Dickens's most wide-ranging and symbolic novel. Bleak House is set in the world of Chancery and focuses in particular on the case of Jarndyce and Jarndyce. this. Okay, I have no idea what that means, but I read the synopsis on the back and I found it so interesting, so I had to pick this one up next. It's supposed to be a very suspenseful kind of novel. There's a mystery in it. It's supposed to be his most expansive work, as I've just said. Bleak House. I'm very excited about that one. We'll see. I've been reading so many big books this month, so maybe I will wait until next month for this, but whenever I do pick it up, I'm sure I'm going to love it. I'm so excited about it. Charles Dickens, so far, for me, has never missed. So I'm pretty optimistic that I'll love this one as well. It also says here, with its humor and pathos, its brilliant satire, and its depiction of the Victorian world in microcosm, Bleak House is considered to be one of Dickens's finest achievements. So this is bound to be good, right? Next up, we have The Vegetarian by Han Kang, which is the last book of Han Kang's I have not read yet. Last month I went on a little binge and I read everything else by her. This is the only one I'm missing. Needless to say, I've been talking about her so much, but she is one of my favorite authors now. I fell in love with her writing and just her as a person. She's so great. This is a very popular story. It's the story of a woman who decides to go vegetarian, and it's about the how she's ostracized after making that decision, and how people are completely incredulous about that, which I find so fascinating because I don't think I've ever talked about this, but I'm vegan myself. I've been vegan for well over 10 years now. And yeah, so I'm curious to see what my perspective on this story is going to be then, and in what ways it's maybe going to be relatable or not relatable at all. I'm just fascinated about the social critique I expect to be in this book. It's also said to be a story about female rage in some ways. I have no idea. It's to me a bit difficult to put the face of Han Kang and her person to a book about rage. But I guess that's just the beauty of versatility. I am very happy about this one. I'm very curious to see what it's actually going to be like. And it's one of the ones I'm probably going to pick up next because I just can't wait. Although that'll be a very sad day because then I won't have any Han Kangs left for however long it takes her to make her next story. But yeah, that's fine. Next up, we have an Orista by Carson, who is also an author I've discovered for myself last month. This is a collection of 3 ancient Greek plays that Carson translated. It's Agamemnon by Aeschylus, Electra by Sophocles, and Orestes by Euripides. Excuse my pronunciation. I am so interested in this one because I saw a video by Emmy who was just raving about this book and how beautiful it was, and she was showing a particular page in the book and how much that connected to her. And I loved that passage so much, and because I really like Carson's writing, I just had to pick this one up. Ancient Greek plays are something that I really want to consume more of. So far, the only ancient Greek plays I have read are King Oedipus and Antigone by Sophocles. So I'm very interested to see what these ones are going to be like. I expect to love them a lot, and I am looking forward to them a lot. Then another Anne Carson, we have Plainwater, which is a collection of poetry and essays that she wrote. And first of all, these covers, I love them so much. They're the vintage editions, I'm pretty sure. I just cannot get over how beautiful they are. They're so simplistic, but so stunning. And yeah, I mean, again, Anne Carson is an amazing writer and one I really want to read more from. And so essays and poetry by her sounded like just the right thing for me. I'm savoring this one for when I feel like reading some essays and poetry. Who knows when that's going to happen, because I don't own much of that. So it's always good to have some. Then another Anne Carson. This is Men in the Off Hours. This is gonna be such an interesting read. I have no idea what to expect from this book because it's basically her reinventing lots of very great names of history, like Sappho, Virginia Woolf, Emily Dickinson. There's Edward Hopper paintings, Saint Augustine, Lazarus. It's gonna be such a strange read, I'm pretty sure. Apparently, it's poems and prose pieces, whatever that's gonna be. I am very interested in it. This one is one that I have a lot of trouble telling you about because I myself have no idea what to expect here. I just know Anne Carson's name is on it, and so I will definitely be reading it. I need to know what this one is, and I'm very interested to see what I think of it. Then the last Anne Carson here. This is Grief Lessons by Euripides, which is again 4 plays that Anne Carson translated from the original ancient Greek. The 4 plays that are in these are Heracles, Hekabe, Hippolytes, and Alcestis. I have not read any of those plays, and Euripides was apparently one of the very great ancient playwrights, which of course I know Euripides' name, but I have not read any of his plays yet, so very excited about this one. Ancient Greece has always been a fascination of mine. Sometimes I think maybe I should have studied that. I would have loved to learn ancient Greek and just, I don't know, completely nerd out on that. It's always been my favorite aspect of history. So reading more about that or more from people who were actually living back then, it's just such a cool thing that we still have texts like these that we can read by people like Anne Carson, who I completely trust to make them so beautiful in a language that they weren't originally in, because translation is always something a little bit complicated, and it's always a hit or miss if a translation is good, but with Anne Carson, I'm quite confident that it will be. Then I have to admit I have been influenced because so many people talk about Giovannis Room by James Baldwin, and I have never read James Baldwin. And because this is the one I always hear about, I thought I just have to pick this up. I just have to know what it's about. It's about a man who goes to Paris and who falls in love with another man called Giovanni, but who has a lot of trouble accepting his sexuality. And it's about repression and guilt and shame and ostracization. Is that even a word? I'm not very sure, but at its core, it's a book about love and loneliness, I'm pretty sure, and acceptance. And it's very short, so I'm so curious to see how so many themes are going to be packed into these few pages. I do expect to love it. I don't think I'm special enough to hate it. James Baldwin is one of the great writers of history, so I am so excited to finally have some of his works in my hands that I can now read. And that being said, we come to our last book in this video, which is Just Above My Head, also by James Baldwin. Again, whenever I discover or decide to pick up a new author that I haven't read, I like to do some research about all of their books and see which one I connect with most, because usually the books I like most by certain authors are not their most popular ones. Usually I tend to like very specific kinds of books. I don't think I have a very usual taste in books. I tend to have some unpopular opinions, to say the least. And for James Baldwin, I know Giovanni's Room is by far his most popular, but I had seen some people here and there talk about this one and absolutely loving it. And among every book by him, this one is the one that interests me by far the most. It's about 2 brothers, one of which suddenly dies, and the other brother sort of tracing their life story back to try to discover things about his brother or something like that. I really tried not to spoil myself because I hate spoilers, and I wanted to go into this knowing as little as possible. But just from the little I know it's going to be so sad, but probably also so heartrending. I expect nothing but good things from this book, and I'm so excited to finally have it because I'd been thinking about buying this for quite a while, and this month it sort of just felt right. I'm not an impulsive buyer. I always wait so long until I finally decide to pick up a book. So this has been in my shopping cart for months, and it finally felt right. So I had to buy it, and I will be reading it very soon, and I'll report back to you what I think about it. Again, I expect to love it. I don't think there's any way I won't. So yeah, those are all of the books I have been buying recently. It's quite a few, but I do have to admit it's not everything. I have some on the way because, well, I have some more I've been really wanting to pick up, and I just I decided recently I need some more books on my TBR because I don't have enough variety there. And so sometimes I'll be in a mood to read a certain kind of book and I'll just not have that kind of book, and then I have to read something. Oh, poor me, I have to read something I don't want to read right now. It's such a luxurious problem, I know. But I decided it would be quite nice to have some more options, especially because I do read quite quickly. And yeah, so they're now on my lap like little babies. Um, but yeah, so I will probably have to do a part two for this quite soon. It'll take a few weeks for those books to be here, but whenever they are, maybe I will do another part of this because quite soon there will be quite a few more books on my TBR that I currently don't own yet. Yeah, maybe that'll be interesting because they're all books I'm very excited about as well. So yeah, that was all. Thank you so much for being here, for listening to me ramble once again about books I'm excited about reading. Maybe tell me, have you read any of these? Which one should I pick up first? Which ones did you love? Were there some you absolutely hated? Were there some you didn't even know existed? Tell me, let me know. I love nothing more than talking about books to people who also like books, and that is what you are. So please tell me. I'm so interested. That is all I had to say. Again, thank you so much. Have a very nice day. If you don't have a nice day, that's fine too. I'm thinking about you either way. And we will see each other again very soon. Until then, bye.